Hello, this is Nerd Games. I'm Daniel. When I started building my first game, I thought it will be a simple project that I will finally finish. But then my wife drew a sketch of a mole, and that completely changed the whole project. Today, I will show you how that sketch made it into my first published game on Steam, MolEconomy. So originally back in 2024 September, I came up with the idea of a simple game which made up of four steps. First is to mine resources like in gold miner, then crush those resources into smaller objects, and then create mix of those objects into some new resources like in little alchemy and so on. And then you sell those resources. And with the given money, you can improve your already existing mining tools or the crusher and so on. So this was it. This was my idea. This was the project that I would like to finally complete. And that was the beginning. When I finished the first prototype, it was a really simple one. It was just the bare bones. The logics were working. The visuals were just simple cubes and circles, nothing fancy, but actually the game was sort of playable. So I showed my first prototype to my wife, and when I showed her exactly how the automations for the mining and other stuff is working, she just raised an idea that why don't we use some moles to do the automations for the mining and the crushing. And actually, she drew a sketch of that wall she had in her mind. And that was basically the point when this game started into the road of an actual game. As the mall idea came into picture, it just brought in many features into the game, like having skills for the malls to actually do their jobs better and having their necessary needs like food to make them work, otherwise they will sleep, and additional things like food chain coming up with the food and so on. So all of these things just came into the game, which created bare bone of how this management game will look up, because at this point it was quite much shifting to a management game. So after I started to add new features based on these mole requirements and the mole ID and anything, the game just became quite complex quite quickly. So it came quite many challenges given I was planned it to be a small project, and now it was expanding over its boundaries, so that I faced many architectural issues that I was not planning for. So I definitely refactored the solution quite many times, and actually even for the models. So for the mole models, I was starting with 3D models, but actually, they were just causing more issues with the graphical concept of the game. As I was aiming for a 2D game, and using those 3D models was not really the best idea. So I just scrapped that at one point and just created the modes from 2D models. And at that point, I was almost ready with everything. I added quite many features, like the most related features, the more management structure of their food chain, their skill updates on the schools, their assignment to different jobs, and many additional things. On top of that, I also added updates for the resource management stuff, like you can discover new things. Like I mentioned, that was the base idea in the core loop, but I added also the foundry and factory to actually create something from those recipes. So with the mix, you just discover a blueprint, but from that blueprint, later on, you can create actual items. And that was the base flow. So at that point, it was quite obvious that I'm making a game where most can mine resources. Then those mine resources can be crushed into minerals. From those minerals, you can create alloys, and from the alloys, you can create products. Partial from for products, it can also made up from other product or other mineral, but I will just leave that out for the sake of simplifying it. So when all the components were ready and all these features were in place, I needed to expand what resources I added to the game because at that point the resources that I was working with, it was a quite limited map that is visualizing what kind of mining and crushing and the creation options at that point I had in the game. And so I extended those lists and created a new version of that map and created all the related materials like images and everything related to those resources. As I already mentioned, I wasn't planning to releasing this game, but actually I just sent out to a couple of friends to actually try it out and play it, and it was quite satisfying, though it was missing still some things, which was actually three things it was missing. One is the tutorial, so the game became quite complex and it required some tutorial, and also it was required to have a save load system as the game can be long, so it definitely requires a save load system. So I added that as well. And on top of these, to extend on the challenge part and don't have players just get bored by not having any challenge inside the game, I introduced Hawk mechanic. I call it Hawk mechanic, but it is just about requesting money or tax from time to time. So hawks come and you must pay to them. And that was it. At that point, I had a game which was working fine, which was containing many things that I'd like to have it, and it was basically ready for publishment. So I started to create a Steam page and I announced the release date to a month afterward. And I started to advertise my game. And looking back, I really underestimated the work behind the advertisement for a game. So actually, when I released the game a month later, it was not having much wishlist and not having much coverage. But I will probably speak about this on an upcoming video. Additionally, I'm working on a new project and I will create devlog videos for that project. So if you are interested, just hit that subscribe button. Thanks for watching. I was Daniel.